Again, my name is Scott Stevens with Microcom. We've got Matt Hardy and Ben Moore with us. They're going to do the presentation of our Ubiquiti webinar, and I'm glad to have them with us. If any questions that you'd have, you could put them in the question pane, and we'll address those at the end of the webinar. I think the plan is probably about a 15-20 minute overview of some of the products, and then we've got some time at the end for questions. I think that's kind of the plan, right, Matt and Ben?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, go ahead, guys. Go ahead and take it over.
All right.
Well, Matt, go ahead.
I was just going to say, my name is Matt. I'm with Ubiquiti, and today we're going to be talking about some of our products, give a few updates, and discuss some of our upcoming products as well. And then, like Scott said, at the end, we'll open it up for questions and answers, and hopefully take around 30 minutes. Anything you want to add, Ben?
No, just appreciate everybody joining the call, and kind of like Matt mentioned, we'll kind of give, I guess, go over a little bit of what was discussed at our recent AirMax show, and then again open it up for questions from there. So yeah, no, fire away, Matt.
All right. The first thing we wanted to talk about today was AirSync, and one of the main things we get asked today is, where is AirSync? I'm waiting for the screen to change.
Yeah, that one should have changed for you. I don't know why that didn't change.
Where is AirSync? When we first launched AirSync, we ran into some unforeseen issues, which required some major software re-architecture. And basically, we had to throw a lot of what we did away and start from scratch. That's kind of why it's taken so long to get these back rolling again. Now we've released version 5.43 of the AirSync firmware, and from what we see and what our customers see in the field, it's working really well, and it's working as we've desired it to work. So M5 GPS, 5 gigahertz, AirSync seems to be working really well, and we're either starting to ship it now, or we'll be shipping it any day. However, we still see issues with the M2 GPS, the 2.4 gigahertz GPS products. We see those internally. We can replicate these problems, and right now we're not sure where those problems are coming from. So we're going to hold off shipping the M2 products until we're sure that we know what the issue is, and we definitely don't want to ship any more products out with known issues. So right now we're hanging on to the M2 products until we can figure out what's causing these issues that we're seeing. Next slide.
Still not moving there, huh, Matt? Sorry about that.
That's okay. One thing I wanted to discuss, after shipping AirSync, we saw a lot of people, maybe there were misconceptions about how AirSync works, and it's probably our fault for not educating the customers well enough. So we'll be updating our product literature to explain this a little better. But with AirSync, it solves one problem, and that's AP co-location. As in example 1, you can see there are 3 APs near each other. When one AP transmits and the other AP right next to it is receiving, it causes co-location interference. And this is what AirSync solves. When all APs transmit at the same time, this problem goes away. So many people think, well, hey, I can run all my APs on the same frequency, and I'll have a lot more reusability of spectrum. While this is almost true, it's not completely true. We don't recommend that the APs all run on the same frequency. If you're familiar with syncing of other products, you may already be aware of this, but what we typically recommend is more of an ABAB type setup where front-to-back radios are on the same frequency and side-to-side APs are still separated by at least 10 megahertz of the band edges. So as you can see from example 2, the problem is not from the AP interference, but it's from the client-side radios. If the client can see multiple APs and they're on the same frequency, then this client is going to have a lot of noise from both alternating APs. So it's not going to be able to demodulate that signal from the primary AP. So this is the #1 problem that we've seen after shipping AirSync products, and we just want to make sure that our customers are aware of this and they plan appropriately. So we'll probably be releasing an AirSync best practices guide. So that should be posted hopefully pretty soon to our site. On to the next product update. The second biggest product update question we get is, where's AirBeam? And just to give an update on this, this was kind of delayed also due to the GPS software. We include GPS functionality in the AirBeam products, so we didn't want to ship this with AirSync not working. But it is in the field. It's been tested. It's been out for 4 or 5 months now. And from our test, here's kind of what we see. In our side-to-side test with Rocket standard AirMax sectors, we see a 6 to 8 dB improvement in signal among all the clients. And what this means is each client can have higher data rates, which increases, from what we've seen, the AirMax capacity 15 to 20%. And this is huge, not only from a throughput perspective from each individual client, but also an airtime efficiency standpoint. This means you can squeeze in a few more clients where you couldn't have if you were using the regular sector. So right now it's looking very good. We're still going to do some more field testing, make sure the product is solid, and we'll probably have more official updates fairly soon. Next slide. Come on. This slide was kind of a nice looking slide. We wanted to show you some of the AirBeam products we have out in the field now. And it kind of gives you an idea of how we've been doing our testing. Standard Rocket sector, 90 degrees, compared to our AirBeam sector side by side. So we can do pretty good tests comparing the two products. All right, next product, or next update anyway. We get asked this a lot as well. When are we going to see 5.3, 5.4 gigahertz in Ubiquiti products? And currently we've done everything that we can do. We've done all the testing. Everything's passed in our labs. So right now we've submitted it to the FCC. It's in their hands. We're waiting back to hear from them. Last I heard, it was supposed to be fairly soon. So once we get this update from the FCC and they stamp it and they say you're good to go, we'll be able to release a new firmware version that will open up all the products in the US to these new bands. And once we get closer to this, once it's official and we're good to go, we'll publish new rules, new bands, everything like that on our site, so you'll have more information. All right, next slide. Just a little update about our software. Currently we're on 5.3.3, and it seems to be one of the most stable versions we've had. Not any major bugs, great performance, but we're still working on improving that. In 5.5 we've added some pretty major features. First, AirSync support, and probably the main update for 5.5 is the multiple VLAN and the new advanced networking section. Now you can add multiple VLANs, create custom bridges, so you can incorporate Ubiquiti equipment into even the most complex networks. Some of the other updates, we added support for AirMax for legacy devices. So if you have a mixed network with some AirMax M-series equipment and some of the older 802.11 ABG products, you don't have to swap out all of your old equipment in order to enable AirMax and take advantage of that protocol. We've also started adding larger MTU capabilities on all the M-series products. So all the M-series products now are capable of larger MTUs, where the old ones were limited to a little over 1,500. And 5.5 is not finished yet, so it's currently in Beta 4. Beta 5 will be released soon, and there are more updates to come. And looking forward, we haven't officially planned the entire roadmap for the next version, 5.6, but we will have more features, a more full feature set SNMP MIB, official Ubiquiti MIB that you can use to monitor our devices, full IPv6 support, and possibilities, multiple SSID support. We get a lot of requests for that, so it's a definite possibility. And of course, requests welcome. So if you have anything you want to see in our firmware, just let us know. Oh, hey. Another thing we wanted to show you, we've made a few mechanical improvements on our products. This is a new thing that we'll be shipping soon on our new antennas. Actually, the antennas are the same, but we modified the shroud on the antennas. As you can see, it kind of covers the top of the rocket. So where you would have seen the SMA connectors and the pigtails sticking out and connecting into the sector or rocket, there's now a shroud that covers that and protects it from water, animals picking at the connectors, or anything else. So it kind of gives you better ease of mind when installing these products. Another thing we have coming out, hopefully we'll have a beta and able to test by the end of the year, is the replacement for air control, the new air controller. And the ideas for this, some of the complaints we got about the old air control, it was bulky, it wasn't very efficient, and things like that. So the new air controller will be very easy to install, very quick. It actually takes about 4 seconds to install. It's extremely scalable. So the previous air control system, the way it did network monitoring of all the devices, it was very bloated and not very scalable. So the new method is actually proprietary. It's a new method written completely from the ground up with lots of compression and lots of with scalability in mind. So in the old version, you started seeing issues when you had 300 or so radios on your air control server. You had to start reducing the probe period and things like that. Now you should be able to scale to the thousands without having to make any modifications. Another neat feature is if you look at the bottom graph or the bottom picture, you can see, in the
Sorry,
bottom picture,
I jumped the gun on you a little bit there. Sorry.
You can see an example of this topography detection. With the new air controller, the way it just talks with all the devices, it will automatically discover the topography of your network based on wireless association. So if you have point-to-point links, point-to-multipoint links, it can discover all of this from your devices and lay it out on a map if they have GPS coordinates or if they're already configured. And then the last thing, which we hope to be a pretty big feature, is the automatic provisioning support in the new air controller. The idea now is that air controller set up on a central server, and you can either do in your office, you can plug in 10 Ubiquiti devices into a switch. They'll immediately heartbeat in without any configuration. You plug them into PoE. They'll heartbeat into air controller, and you can kind of click them and drag them into an AP and pull down the configuration automatically. Second idea that we're kind of throwing around is having a remote provisioning support. So if you have an installer in a truck or a van and they have 3G support, they can plug into air controller, plug a device into their computer, pick which AP they're going to, and it'll automatically configure. So the idea is you don't have to log in, configure it. You can do everything through air controller. So we hope that will be a pretty big hit. All right, now getting into some of the new products. Tough Switch is our upcoming switch product. It's an 8-port gigabit managed switch. There are two models. There's the standard gigabit switch, which you see in this slide, and then the second version is the Tough Switch PoE. That's a little bit bigger, but it also has 8 gigabit ports, and you can control PoE out on all ports. You can set each port to either PoE off, 24 volts, or 48 volts. and this is intended to work with Ubiquiti devices. So standard passive PoE that's compatible with all Ubiquiti devices. And it does a lot of things that the typical managed switches do, VLANs, bonding, spanning tree protocol, things like that. All right, next slide. Here you can see a screenshot of the PoE or the Tough Switch software, and this is ready. Software is practically finished, so we're looking pretty good on this, and I think we're still planning for some kind of release by the end of the year or early 2012. All right, next slide. And the last product update we have is the Rocket Titanium. This is an all-metal radio. It's kind of a newer version of our Rocket. It has GPS support. It's a metal enclosure, and probably most importantly, it now has gigabit Ethernet. So it's practically like the Rocket M GPS with gigabit support and a metal enclosure. And that's all that we have. Any questions, answers? Anything you want to add, Ben?
No, that was good.
That was great. Thank you, Matt. Let's see, I've got a few here. Let's see, first question I have is, could you provide us with an update on the status of the Unify Pro and the RM9 GPS?
Go ahead.
So the Rocket M9 GPS falls under the same thing as the Rocket M2. So not ready for release at this point, and you know, basically once the everything's finalized with the Rocket M2, the Rocket M9 would follow. And then as far as the UAP Pro, we're based on latest that I'm seeing, we're probably looking at first part of end of the year, first part of next year for the UAP Pro. We've got it up and running, but there's still a decent amount of work that needs to be done.
I'm sorry, so Unify Pro, you said what, end of the year or something like that? Is that what you're saying, Ben? That was
End of the
next
year,
question.
first part of next year. Yep.
Okay. Perfect. See, I have another one here. Will GPS eventually be an option on all M-series APs, including 900 megahertz and both 3 gigahertz models?
Yeah, that would be the plan. I mean, I mean, we've talked about the 365 and a 3 gig for international, but yeah, that would be the plan, is for all APs to have that functionality. Again, the 900 and 2.4 we're not there yet. On the 3 gigahertz, I know we've got some units in the field right now being tested, and assuming those are good. So the 3 gigahertz, I would say, is closer to release than the 900 and 2.4. 900 and 2.4, again, no timeline at this point, but 5 gigahertz and then 3 gigahertz should be following soon thereafter. And the 5 gigahertz, just to reiterate, that those have started shipping to distributors, so you should start seeing those in the channel again soon.
Okay, great. Let's see. Another question here. So I've heard rumors about a 3x3 Nemo. Is it coming? And will you offer feed horns to retrofit existing rocket dishes?
There's nothing at this point nothing that's kind of to that point where we can discuss that product or working on those products. We're always, I guess, the answer to that would be, we're always looking at options to provide more tools for the WIFs, right? And anything that will provide more throughput, more bandwidth, we're going to be looking into it. We've done some initial work there, and assuming all goes well, we'll provide additional products again that'll provide that bandwidth and throughput that people are looking for. And as far as the question about retrofitting, we're always going to try to do what we can there. I mean, similar to what we've done with the AirMax and legacy support, we try to make it as best we can. I mean, without handicapping, a new system, we'll try to bring them together as much as possible.
Okay, great. It says, does the beam forming function require any special hardware to work?
Yes.
The AirBeam?
I gather that's what they're talking about, yes.
Yes, it's a special product. It requires a new rocket as well as the actual AirBeam sector.
Okay, great. Let's see what I have here. What is the recommendations on products for the fastest connection speeds through dense residential areas? Use 900s right now, but not too quick for multi-megapixel camera systems or streams. That's a tough one for you. I mean, that's making recommendations for you.
Well, the thing about the residential areas, and I don't know, I would be hesitant to put 900 and 2.4 in the residential areas because there's all kinds of noise from those residential clients. I like to recommend 5.8 just because there's a lot more spectrum and it's usually the quietest in those areas. But again, it really depends on your area, and you really have to find out what's already there.
It depends on the area, and really we have seen, and probably a lot has to do with the the M series stuff, but we have seen an increase in the amount of 2.4 M series gear that's being deployed. Probably a lot of that has to do with the fact that we are starting to have that, or have added that legacy support, and people are starting to kind of migrate some of those existing networks to the M series products. But yeah, that's right. I mean, it depends on the area. 5 gigahertz is still probably the cleanest, although in a tough environment where you've got a lot of trees and other things that you're dealing with, there 5 gigahertz won't obviously do as well.
All right. Okay. Perfect. I think that was one of the questions they were asking. They have the line of sight problem. Okay, with trees. Okay. Tough Switch says is a great solution. Is that the only version you're going to have is with the 8 ports, or do you have any plans for more than 8 ports and rack mountable?
Currently, it's 8 port only. It's the only version that we're currently working on. It will be rack mountable. There will be a rack mount solution for stacking 2 of them side by side and putting them in a rack. Ben, do you have any other updates on that?
No, that's right. And I guess the only other thing I'd throw out there is if there's obviously a demand for more, post it out on our forum, and we'll look at adding to that line as it's released.
Okay. Looks like if I have U.S. version product and I take it out of the country, is there any way of getting the frequencies unlocked?
No. The U.S. versions are locked to FCC U.S. frequencies. If you need something outside of that, outside of those frequencies, you'd have to get one of the different products.
Okay. Let's see. What is the availability of the AirBeam? They're looking to repeat the estimates on availability.
We haven't really released a timeline for it yet. I think probably what will happen is basically the GPS units, the 5 gigahertz GPS units will be, they've started shipping again, and that has been one of the, the main holdups there. So as that gets out and we get a little bit more into it, probably over the next month, and we get some additional updates on our test units that are out in the field in multiple locations, we'll look to release from there. Probably. Again, I don't think we can release a timeline, but we're shooting for next couple of months.
Great. Okay. Let's see. Will the 2 switches be able to talk to each other in the same rack?
What do you mean?
Well, it says, well, the 2 switches, I guess your router switch or your tough switches, will they be able to talk to each other in the same rack is what the person put.
Yeah, I mean, you can connect them, connect 2 ports, connect 1 port from the other one. Is that what you mean?
I would have to, I guess that's what they would mean, yes. It says, or, or will one control the other, I guess is.
No, I mean, they're 2 independent switches. If you need them to I don't know about talk with each other, but if you need them on the same network segment, you can connect them by, one uplink cable kind of setup.
Okay. All right. Can they be daisy chained together?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see. When does the 900 Yagi ship, and what is the NSRP?
The 900 megahertz Yagi is actually trying to think if any of those have left yet. They're ready. They're shipping probably within the next week. If they haven't shipped already, I'll have to go back and look and see if we've actually released them yet. But they're ready. I mean, the units have been manufactured. They're sitting on the dock, so to speak, if they haven't left already. And as far as MSRP goes, I'd probably check with the distributors on that one, just because we're shipping it as a 2-pack. So there'll be 2 packed in one box, and I'm not sure if distributors are going to be breaking them down and shipping in 1 box per, and then adding any additional packaging to that or not. But we wanted to keep it around around $100 per unit, $110 a unit, something like that. It's a 16 dBi dual pole Yagi, so I mean it's a true 16. It's a solid unit.
Okay. Perfect. Let's see what else we have here. Did you? I'm sorry. Did you say the MSRP on it? Do we have that yet, or do you have?
Yeah. So that was just in that $110, $120 range. Probably around $220, something like that for the $215 for the 2-pack.
Okay. Cool.
Again, depending
Great.
on how the distributors break it down.
And another question on that Yagi: rear mount or center mount?
The rocket? Where it mounts?
The Yagi?
The
Yagi
Yagi
mount, yeah.
Yeah, it's on the back, and then there's a rocket mount for the units with the cables coming through the unit. So as far as that goes, obviously we wanted to get as reasonable as possible from a cost standpoint. I think most Yagis in that range are going to be in the $70 to $80 range for that kind of gain. Obviously single pole as well. So I think we've done very well. Obviously we try to get pricing down as much as we can, but with a dual pole and the cable assemblies, rocket mount, that's kind of where we ended up.
Okay. And I got somebody wanting to know if you have a beta program that they can join to test the air control.
Yeah.
We will definitely. We will definitely. Matt always, is working with different people in the beta section on our forum to test that. So, yeah.
We're keeping a list for air controller beta. So if you want to join that list, email me, matt@ubnt.com.
Great. Okay. Good. I think we got them all. We went through all the questions. There you go. You guys did a great job.
Awesome. Well, again, we sure appreciate you guys hosting it, and appreciate everyone joining us on the call, and yeah, look forward to additional updates in the near future on additional products and updates on the other things we've discussed today. So appreciate it.
Hey, one more thing popped up real quick, Ben. Matt, is certification training. When is the first one going to be, the UBNT cert training?
We haven't announced a roadmap yet.
Okay.
Probably later this year we'll announce a roadmap on where we're planning on going and complete rules on the process.
Right now we're
okay.
part of the holdup on that is hardware. At the AirMax show we actually showed pictures of the AirMax trainer hardware. That we want this to be a very hands-on type setup, and so we're waiting on the hardware to be finalized. And as soon as it's finalized, just from a production standpoint, as soon as those are ready to go, we can launch the program.
Great. I did see there were some questions about wanting to know if they can get a copy of the webinar, so you guys could email your sales rep, or so you can even send an email to our sales at microcomtech.com, and I could forward you guys all a copy of the webinar, and that would be microcomtech.com, sales@microcomtech.com, and we could do that. And if there's any questions that you come up with that you weren't able to get to Ben or Matt, I definitely could forward those along to them, and they'd be glad to answer those for you later at a later time too. Or you could always, I guess they could visit the forum too, right, and ask the questions for you, Matt or Ben. They could ask them there too, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Hey, Scott.
Okay.
One other thing I'll throw out there is just for those that were not able to attend the AirMax conference and this webinar as well, on our forum there are some additional details as far as at the show we talked about the AirVision. It's a 4 or 5 hour, so we couldn't do it all in a webinar, but there's details on the AirVision, AirCam products, updates on Unify, and then there's also some use cases that we did at the last show. So that would also be a good thing for them to check out. There's a use case on the Unify products, and then on AirMax, and so anyway, I invite anybody to look at those. Those are in the AirMax World Conference section, I believe, Matt, on the forum.
Yeah, it's under AirOS 5, the AirMax products, and then under that is the AirMax World Conference forum.
Yeah, those will be available as well for viewing as well.
Great. Okay, well, thank you very much, Matt and Ben. You guys are great, and thank you everybody that was able to attend it. I know everybody's time is valuable, but I appreciate the time that you guys had to listen to Matt and Ben give us some updates on the Ubiquiti products. And again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send an email to us, and we'll get them to Ben and Matt. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. You guys did a great job.
Thanks.
Everyone have a great day. Thank you.